Morning, everyone. Just a fresh morning here at the shop. As you can see, we've got this Civic here along with the Tesla EVO. I know you guys are waiting for updates on the Tesla EVO, being this is one of those long-term projects and has a lot of interest and buzz around it. But most of the videos, they don't really give you a clear understanding of where we are in our day. It's usually all meshed together and it seems like it's just one day. But in reality, there's multiple days, sometimes weeks, that go into some of these projects. So I figured I'd give you a little insight into a normal day here. First thing I typically do is I'll come in and ship out whatever product orders I have in place, which I'll have either in a voicemail or I'll have in an email, or it'll come through Facebook, social media, whatever the case may be. This particular set of scatter shields here are heading out to California to our friends at Carbonetics. It's an EVO 8 scatter shield, NHRA scatter shield, along with a 2G DSM scatter shield. So I'm getting ready to box those up and ship them out to my friend Sergio. And then I'll start my normal day here. Forgive the sound in the background that you hear, which is pretty common this time of year in the videos, being that it's winter time and that heater works overtime in order to keep us comfortable in here. But today we're going to be working on finishing up the exhaust. I know Billy's working on finishing up the exhaust on this 2020 Civic. Meanwhile, I'm going to be building the brackets for this particular project here, formerly known as the Tesla EVO. So just a little bit of background content for you guys on the shop. I'm sure you guys would like to see more of that, and it probably gives you a little bit more substance than just exhaust systems and turbo kits. Better understanding myself, who I am, my business, and what a day looks like here in the shop. So I'm going to do my best to try and insert this kind of stuff into the videos. That way you guys can better learn about who I am and my team, Billy, who's on his way in. And yeah, other than that, I hope you guys are enjoying. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe with notifications on. We specialize in building high-end race cars and components that look as good as they perform, and we love to hear feedback from our audience. So without further ado, I'm going to get these items boxed up, head on into the shop, and get some work done. I know just a moment ago I mentioned that I was going to start building and mocking up some of the brackets that are going to hold this thing in place. But as I was doing that, I was looking at the overall fitment of the drive unit in the rear, and I wasn't happy with the ground clearance on it. It just seemed like it was going to end up being too low to the ground. So I got on the phone with Armin, started talking about some different options and solutions. We talked about redoing the design potentially of the lower control arm bracketry, and whether or not we might consider doing, you know, the custom length adjustable rear control arms. But again, with everything being a balance, both timeline and budget, everything is taken into consideration. An educated decision had to be made as to how we were going to get it to better fit. My proposed solution, which is what we ended up moving forward with, was creating a slight trimming on the housing of the drive unit itself. It has a set of cooling fins, air cooling fins, that are around the outside perimeter of where the axle goes in. And we were running into a clearance issue with this connection point here, which is a critical connection point. And because we integrated it into this position, and it's necessary to do so for rigidity, we were running into a clearance issue on the top side into one of those fins. So I could look at this and say, okay, well, what was the potential difference that I could make in order to get the clearance I needed? Maybe putting this particular crossbar on a slight upward angle, but given the space available, that would have only given me about 1/4 of an inch. That's not enough spacing. So what I ended up doing is I ended up doing a very clean trimming on the outside of the housing and the fins in order to create clearance. And once I completed that, it gave us the exact fitment we were looking for. So I'm going to go ahead and lower it down now that I'm showing you the trim that I made, and then I'll show you how nicely it fits in what the machines are. that I've got it lowered back down on the ground, I'll give you a quick peek at what I ended up doing in the results. So in this little space that I've cut out in the air fin section here, you can see how it's nicely allowing that bolt to recess into there, which has then maximized our upper headroom space based on what we have to work with. Kind of hard to see, but I'm trying to give you guys the best visual I can. We have axle geometry, as you can see. Everything is squared up as far as where the boot and everything is going. We have the space that we're going to need on the driver's side in order to customize the bracketry for that. And now we're going to start building brackets that tie in the front and the rear. So it's the moment of truth where we're going to actually mount this thing into the vehicle. So let's build some brackets. As I mentioned I was going to do earlier, before realizing we had some clearance issues. But we'll go ahead and grab some cardboard, start mocking it up, see if we can get this thing bolted in. What do you say? Okay, so there we go. We've got the rear bracket in place as well as the front bracket in place for the rear drive unit. It's just the basic bracket tree setup that I've made so far. I'm going to be adding some reinforcement to it, of course, but this is just to get everything mocked up in the right location. So now that we've got both the front and the rear mounts figured out, this is going to be the front, this is going to be the rear. We have a side bracket that helps maintain stability and also levels this thing so that it's not, you know, sitting teetered one way or the other. And that's what I'm working on now. So I've just simply taken a piece of paper in order to template where the holes are on this guy, and now I'm going to build a bracket for that. I get asked all the time about how our fabrication is so clean and how we go about the way we do our process, and you know, the answer is always pretty consistent. Just make sure that your material is extremely clean to start with, and the results will certainly be improved and speak for themselves. Well, just how clean should it be? Well, mirror, mirror on the wall. I mean, really, it doesn't have to be this clean. Let's face it, this is fresh off of the shelf with wrapping on it, so it is a polished edge. The other side is not. So, but the cleaner it is, the better your results. Just remember. Over here. There you go, the rear drive unit is in place. We've mounted it successfully. I still need to box in the brackets that are holding it in place and also add some gusseting so that it has some rigidity and reinforcement, but there you go, installed in the rear side. So next thing to do after we do what I just mentioned a moment ago and add the reinforcement, we're going to go ahead and move on to the front, get that front drive unit in. There we go. So hope you guys are enjoying this show. If you haven't already, please hit like on this video. It helps the algorithm and helps my channel grow. If you do want to help it grow even further, feel free to hit subscribe along with notifications so that you're aware of new projects that come in through the door, similar to this one, where it's outrageous and there's all kinds of crazy stuff going on, as well as basic jobs like this 2020 Honda Civic SI, which is getting a custom exhaust system. It's just in the middle of that. That's a separate episode that you can find on our channel. But in the meantime, if you're wondering where Billy's at, it's currently Christmas weekend and he is off, of course. I just came in over the weekend in order to try and do a little catch up on some administrative items and finish up getting us to this point on this project. I've got some goals that I set each week and just a little behind with everything that's going on. So that's the reason you're not seeing Billy in the mix. He's definitely taking some time off this weekend and getting an opportunity to be with his family. I'm gonna go ahead and do the same, and I'll catch you guys later.